Physicians are trained in the art of medicine, science, and healing. We call this the practice of medicine. But healthcare is a business. SMA's Business of Medicine podcast is designed to educate physicians on a wide range of business topics with the purpose of empowering physicians with the business knowledge they need to better enjoy the practice of medicine. This podcast is sponsored by SMA Services. SMA Services is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Southern Medical Association, founded in 1984 to address the business and financial needs of physicians.
With September being Life Insurance Awareness Month, we thought it would be a great time to learn more about the life insurance products SMA has to offer. In this podcast, we are joined by Daniel Duffy of the Legacy Benefits Group and Rebecca Brown Schulter of United Wealth Advisors Group. Daniel will be discussing the group life insurance products, while Rebecca will be handling the individual life products. So let's get started. First, I just want to ask an offhanded question. How's everyone doing during the COVID pandemic? Daniel, how are you doing?
Doing well. Just trying to stay as nimble as we can in these interesting times. But thank you for asking. We're doing well. Hanging in there. Thank you.
Good to hear. And Rebecca, how are you doing?
Yep, I will second that. We're hanging in there. We've actually just in our industry been busier than ever, just making sure clients are taken care of and everything that goes along with that, and trying to homeschool and work. So but we're doing well as well.
Yeah, I understand that, because my mom, she is an insurance agent herself, and she has said she has been busier these past 6 months than she has probably in the past year with people, because they are so paranoid during the COVID pandemic. And so she just says people have been just crazy knocking at her door. So I can totally understand that. So first, we're going to start with Daniel with the group life insurance products. So Daniel, what are some of the differences between a group life insurance policy and an individual life insurance policy?
Sure. So our agency, we only work in that group life insurance space. We work with employers. We work with associations to kind of bring that group platform to the table. And I would just say pricing, when you've got the ability to spread around your risk, you've also got the ability to spread around that reward. So depending on the size of an employer, you might see significantly less cost for a life insurance policy than you may or may not with an individual policy, depending on who you're shopping with. But pricing, we see generally, because you do have that critical mass to spread around, is definitely one of the advantages. And then I'd say the second one is probably from an underwriting perspective, back to that risk and reward. When you have the ability to spread that risk amongst a group, whether that's a larger group or a smaller group, there's still more risk to spread around than you can with an individual. So what does that mean? Generally a little bit looser, leaner underwriting, maybe not so many health questions, maybe no health questions whatsoever, and you're guaranteed to buy a certain amount. So from a price standpoint and underwriting standpoint, I think that'd probably be one of the bigger differences that we see with group life insurance versus an individual life insurance policy.
Okay, great. Thank you for that clarification between the two. That's good to know. So what are some of the advantages and disadvantages of a group life plan?
We talked a bit about the advantages being, maybe a pricing standpoint or an underwriting standpoint, but some of the disadvantages, and we're seeing it a lot right now during this global pandemic. It's called a group policy for a reason. People who are involved with that group or work for that particular employer are generally the only ones that you're going to see have the ability to purchase that group life insurance policy. And if you, depending on your employer, depending on the life insurance contract that's in place, you may or may not have any portability options. So if you were to leave your current job, or if your current job were to leave you, you might be in a situation where now, in order to maybe convert that policy or bring it over, once you're no longer part of that group, you can guarantee the price is going to go up, and you may have to get through some of those underwriting questions, maybe a medical exam. So one of those disadvantages are, unfortunately, when you're no longer part of the group, oftentimes you're no longer part of that group life insurance policy that you were enrolled in while you were actively working.
Yeah, that makes sense. So one quick off question, because I was reading, trying to get prepared for this podcast, and when starting a new job, obviously you want to look at the benefits of what the company is going to offer you. Obviously, the main ones are vacation time, sick time, 401k, things like that. Do you think a group life plan is a great benefit to look for when starting a new job, and what they can offer you for the future?
Sure. I mean, it's it's something that a little tongue in cheek here, but I've never ran into anybody who wish they bought any less life insurance when that inevitability comes. So yeah, oftentimes it's a great start to that employee benefit program. I mean, we know that the health insurance premiums are out of control right now, and a lot of people don't have the ability to enroll in some of these health plans where you may be able to get a nice life insurance policy that's going to cost you less than 1% of what a health insurance plan might cost. So when you're looking at value, particularly, in my opinion, you're going to get the most bang from your buck with life and disability insurance. I know we're focused on the former, but survey after survey, a lot of people are putting things like dental insurance as the second most important benefit compared to health insurance, when I've seen life and disability insurance do a lot more good for folks out there.
No, yeah, I completely agree. I mean, yes, having a great smile is, fantastic, but I would think life and disability would be much more better. So, so we're gonna come in on your last question. If y'all don't know, SMA has a group life policy for our members. Can you tell me how SMA's plan is unique in comparison to other group life insurance policies?
Absolutely, and I'll try to keep it brief. The perks of this plan are amazing. I'm not saying that just because I work with you guys with this program, but this program was put in place, I believe, in 2001. And believe it or not, there's been a heck of a lot of red tape over the last 20 or so years when it comes to associations being able to offer benefits to their members. Do we really have that employee-employer relationship? So a program like what SMA has in place right now just wouldn't be able to go into effect as the rules sit today. So for a low-cost membership to SMA, there's the ability, just with SMA's life insurance policy, to cover yourself as a member, to cover spouse, to cover dependents. If you're a physician that has a practice, the employees of the practice can participate on this policy. The guarantee issue limits, the no poking, no prodding, no medical questions is $150,000. So that's significantly higher than we generally see out there as far as the ability to say, yes, I do want this policy, and yes, you can get it without any of that. Like I said, poking, prodding, medical exams, questions, things like that. And then back to the employee-employer relationship, the fact that there could be an independent contractor out there who is maybe working at several different hospital systems as an SMA member, can have the ability to take advantage of the life insurance policy, the disability, the dental, vision, some of the other programs that are out there. So the uniqueness is the fact that this is a benefit for members, not necessarily employees of an entity. And I just don't think that, I think it would be hard pressed, let me say, to get any kind of program in place for an association that SMA was successful in doing, and those policies, they go up to $2 million. So very robust group life plan in place at SMA.
Thank you, Daniel, for really taking the time to go into detail about group life insurance policies. So now we're joined back with Rebecca, and Rebecca's now going to go over the individual life insurance policy sides. So Rebecca, why is owning a life insurance policy a good decision?
Well, so let's be honest for just a second. The death benefit in a life insurance policy is not for us. It is for those that we leave behind. It's for our families. It's for business partners. So owning a life insurance policy is a great decision because it takes care of those that you love when you're no longer there. I like that Daniel touched on the benefits of the group policies, because we always encourage our clients to take advantage of a group policy, but to supplement anything over and above what the group policy may not have to offer with an individual policy as well.
As I said earlier, my mom's an insurance agent, and she is constantly trying to put in our minds, life insurance is great to have because it's, again, not for you, like you said, it's for what you leave behind, for your family members, your spouses, your partners, anything like that. So totally understand that. So what is the underwriting process like for life insurance during COVID-19?
So the underwriting process has, it's evolved a lot just in general, but I think it's sort of become a lot more of an issue for people to kind of get on board with accelerated underwriting during COVID, because, people are not leaving their homes. They're not wanting somebody else to come in their home to, take the paramedical exam. So with that, it's a lot more streamlined of a process. So there's different types of accelerated underwriting where they'll utilize a sort of a risk score based on your answers to the health questions, whether or not you are regularly going to your doctor. And then they have the ability to give you an underwriting decision within days without you ever having to have an exam or have blood drawn or urine taken. And that's all, underwriting for an individual policy, which is in the past, as you know, that's not been an option. So I think so certain companies had that streamlined underwriting process pre-COVID, but I think for those that weren't there yet, they have had to very quickly catch up, and now they're there. So everybody's kind of scrambling, making sure that they can continue on with business as usual for people that need to make sure they have coverage for their families.
I feel like that's been the same issue for about everyone with COVID-19, especially like on the telehealth side, where people have finally had to get used to the idea of telemedicine at a quick rate and escalate their processes and everything like that. I know, especially with us, we've had to change a lot of the ways we have been doing business. So I understand that. So for your last question, what are some ways life insurance can work as an asset for you?
Well, I'd say that life insurance, we touched on why owning life insurance is a good decision. It's a good decision because it's for your family, it's income replacement, it's paying off debt, equalization of inheritance, funding business continuation plans, the normal uses of life insurance that people often think of. I think one of the things that people don't always think of when they think of life insurance is life insurance as sort of an asset class. And what does that mean? That means that there are different types of life insurance, first of all, for people that aren't as familiar. And when you're using something like a whole life policy or an indexed universal life policy, those are going to build up cash value over time with the ability to borrow from that cash value. And any of the growth within the contract is tax deferred, or you don't pay taxes on it if you borrow from it. So a lot of people will use these as an alternative for a Roth IRA. So high income earners can't contribute to Roth IRAs just outright. There are some backdoor options out there, but we see a lot of people using life insurance as a sort of a super Roth IRA. The other way to use it sort of as an investment or like an asset class would be as a substitute for a 529 plan for kids for college. We have clients that do 529 plans. We have clients that will use a life insurance, cash in a life insurance policy, because it doesn't have to go on the FAFSA form when they're filling out those forms for college. So there are just endless amounts of ways to use life insurance policy, keeping in mind that there always has to be a need for that death benefit.
Wow, I really have never heard of people using their life insurance policies like that. So that is very interesting. Usually what we do for our podcast is words of wisdom from people. So on the life and the individual life insurance side, Rebecca, while we have you, do you have any final words for us?
I would just say, being in this industry, being in this business, I followed my dad into the business, and it's been almost 50 years for him. For me, it's been about 6. And in that 6 years, I've seen dramatically what it can do for people that have it, for their families, when the unexpected happens, and how much of a difference it makes in their lives. And on the opposite side, I can see what a detriment it is to families whose loved ones don't have it and the unexpected happens. So I would just really encourage everyone to get some for your family, if it's term, if it's anything, because it really does make a difference to those that are left behind.
Daniel, do you have any last words for us?
Sure. Rebecca brought up a great point earlier about supplementing the group life insurance plan with an individual policy. That's something that my wife and I do. You know, I have a group life policy here, but if you can get through the underwriting process, which I did not know it has come through the leaps and bounds that it has here recently, I think that that's super important, because as we know, life happens, and there's not always going to be that employer-employee relationship. And if you had that life insurance policy to fall back on, you're the only one that can cancel that, not you not being part of a group anymore. So I'd really just kind of double down on what Rebecca mentioned about supplementing that policy. I'm in the group business, but I've got the individual policy. So does my wife, and actually have policies on my kiddos, and that was more for the investment options that they are going to have in their future because of the cash value that their whole life policies are going to build. So lots of really, really neat things that you can do with life insurance. More limited on the group side, but there's several options on the individual side. But yeah, stack up on the life insurance if you can, because it's only a matter of when.
Well, just want to thank y'all for joining us today. I really appreciate y'all going into detail about the differences between group life insurance and individual life insurance policy.
Same with you, Dylan. Stay safe, stay well. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Physicians are trained in the art of medicine, science, and healing. We call this the practice of medicine. But healthcare is a business. SMA's Business of Medicine podcast is designed to educate physicians on a wide range of business topics, with the purpose of empowering physicians with the business knowledge they need to better enjoy the practice of medicine. This podcast is sponsored by SMA Services. SMA Services is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Southern Medical Association, founded in 1984 to address the business and financial needs of physicians.